Byron's training was as a wildlife biologist. He loved nature. He was a walking encyclopedia of plants, flora and fauna. If I needed to identify a plant or a bird, why look it up? I had Byron right next to me. He loved showing and seeing, and students would say, I want to take Mr. Ball's class because he does a lot of field trips, and the students clamor to get in those classes. Bringing students here took it out of the book. They weren't reading a book or looking at a computer. They were sheltering from the rain and feeling the wind and smelling the water. He impacted the way they looked at things. It's not a blessing to say goodbye to somebody, but it is a blessing in a way to have a chance to say goodbye. And he didn't die suddenly. We knew for several months that he was going to see the end. We didn't know how long, but we knew. And during that time, we had a chance to talk about donation, and we were sad that our lives together was coming to an end. And he was sad that he couldn't be an organ donor, that he couldn't donate his kidney and his heart because of the treatments that he'd received from the cancer and the cancer itself. We called Vision Gift to ask, is it a possibility? And we're quickly learned that they could. He was excited. He was pleased that at least there's something, that's a silver lining. He passed on a Saturday mid-morning, and the family was around him, and we found out later that the cornea transplants were a great success. When somebody's life is saved because they got a new heart or they got a new kidney, that's amazing, but so is the gift of sight. That's amazing. Ask somebody who's looking at the face of their newborn child, or ask somebody who's seeing their first sunrise or fireworks. Isn't that amazing? And Sauvie Island is one of those places that persuaded him, and he loved being here. He loved the water and the birds. He loved just sitting out here for hours. When Byron knew his life was ending, he didn't care much about being memorialized or being buried somewhere. But when we talked about a place where a family could go to visit, this was the place. It was without hesitation. He would love spending eternity here, which is essentially how we chose this spot. If it was possible for Byron to be sitting here and we could think about that in that kind of strange imaginary way, the first thing I think he would say about cornea donation is, isn't that cool? Isn't that amazing that they can transplant cornea from one person to another? But also, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that joyous that now that person gets to see nature go through its seasons and watch trees leaf out and then die back again in the fall, and watch something new poke out of the ground, a crocus or a daffodil that we're seeing this time of year. That's the Byron I know. That's the kind of things he would be saying.